Hello, my name is Brandy Wolf. I am an Oracle of Hidden Truths, Priestess of Shadow and Light, and a Dark Goddess channel. And today, since my prior video, my vlog that you may have seen, talked about my first and last marriage, I thought, well, let's extend on that since I'm already thinking of it, and I might as well just do the video and post it. So I made me a cup of coffee because this might take a while. Now, this is my experience with marriage, and this is my advice as well if you're considering marriage. Okay. First of all, view your marriage as a contract. I know you may love the person dearly. Okay, I understand that. But look beyond that. Ask yourself if you can handle this person for 5, 10, 15 years. Okay? If you can handle what they give you for 5, 10, 15 years, you got to think of it as a long-term contract. All right? Now, if you feel even the most tiniest little thing that you can't do it, it's like the most smallest red flag, and you start thinking, well, maybe I need to give a benefit of doubt. Don't sign it. Don't get married. No, don't. My advice, you have free will to do what you wish, but my advice is to not get married, even if it's just this tiny little bit of a red flag that you can't be able to deal with it for 5, 10, 15 years. Don't do it. My advice. Now, this is my experience with it. And you have to also understand that I am a woo-woo spiritual person, and I am psychic, and I get these nudges. All right. So that adds a little flavor to what I'm about to say. I met my first and last husband at a store that's kind of like Walmart, that's called Meijer. And I knew him for years. I mean, years. I knew him for years. It doesn't even, and that's another thing. It doesn't matter how long you've known the person. You can know them or knew them for like 5 months, and then know them for 5 years, and they still do you wrong, or you still find out things that just blow your mind. Okay, so keep that in mind. So I met him, but we worked different shifts. He worked first shift, I worked third shift, and we worked in the cash office, which we count money. Oh, we count money. So, we started dating. Things seemed to be going well. I was spending a lot of time with him, so I thought, I'm knowing him more. There were some quirks of his that I didn't care for, but again, I gave the benefit of the doubt on. These were like little red flags that should have just, kept me away, but I discovered things much larger than what those red flags were. So, the way he proposed to me. Now you have to understand that I work third shift, so I come home. I would be coming home around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. It all depends on if we were overloaded in the cash office where I had to stay over and count money. He was off the next day, but when he's off, he would stay up all night, watching videos, movies, things of that nature. That was his thing. So I walk in the door, there's like roses going from the front door to the hallway to the uh, bedroom. And there was a note on the front door that said, that was very sentimental. I can't remember what exactly it said. I just remember the one on the door because that's the hilarious one. And so, I thought it was sweet, and I walk in, I'm, going through the trail of roses that's going to the bedroom. And there was a note on the door that said, I have one thing to ask you. So I opened the door and he's asleep on the bed. And I said, I woke him up. Like, so you wanted to snore for me? Is that what you wanted to ask me? He said no, and he proposed to me. Okay, that should have been also a flag right there. Okay. So we ended up getting married. We got married at the Ohio Renaissance Festival. And my dad didn't make it, didn't come. That should have also been another sign. And another sign should have been when that was also the same day. We got married October 14th in 2000. That was also the same day that my grandpa on my dad's side passed away from lung cancer. The same day. They didn't want to tell me. They didn't want to ruin my day. And my aunt wasn't there. I wanted the people that mattered the most to be there, and they weren't there. That should have also been another sign. That should have also been another sign. But me, I didn't take it as that. I didn't let it register. So, got married, and let's see, I want to say it was probably about maybe 2-3 years working the same schedule, doing the same thing. I came home one morning and I couldn't sleep. This word just gnawed at me. I have to use this word. And it was meridian, which I mentioned in the prior vlog. And I know how men are with their privacy, that they don't want you going snooping around their stuff. And I thought, well, I'll use it. I'll look around. If there's nothing there, I can just pretend I didn't see anything. I, didn't use it, whatnot. Basically just, open the door, see what's going on, and then close it. That was my intention. So I go and use this word. And we had different accounts on the computer. But he had 2 different email accounts. One he had password locked. The other one was open, which I didn't understand why he had it password locked until I unlocked the account. And meridian is not a very common word, okay? It's not a very common word. So I open it. And I can't describe the feeling I felt when I saw everything, especially the first parts I'm going to talk about. I can't describe just the horror, the disappointment, and the feeling of that, Brandy, you're a fool, kind of an energy. That kind of energy just. So I went to his save stuff and I discovered that he had pictures of inappropriate or girls that were inappropriate, doing inappropriate things. That's as best as I can describe what I first saw. And I'm sitting there just in awe because I couldn't believe what I saw. And then I happened to look over the chair, and there was this corner of a manila folder sticking out. And hey, why not pick it up and see what's in it? And it was pictures printed out of basically the same thing that I discovered. And sitting there in disbelief, feeling like a fool, I cannot describe. It was like rage, anger, frustration, pain, heartache. It was just a bunch of negative, destructive emotions that was just, it felt like it went from my toes all the way up to my head. It was just so hurtful. And I'm sitting there like, do I even want to go any further? And I did. I went into his email. And his email, I discovered that he had pictures of his best friend's wife, and his best friend encouraged it. Then I saw emails back and forth between him and a coworker that worked second shift where we worked at. Basically very intimate in nature, I guess would be the appropriate word. So I'm sitting there seeing all this before me. And even with this added on, I cannot describe the feeling I felt. I'm sitting there and there's just all these negative, destructive, enraging emotions just I wanted to myself, just go after him myself over it. It was it still eats me up when I think about it too, but not as bad as it used to, because you gotta remember that was like about 22 years ago. No, it was like 26 years ago. Brady, you gotta remember how old you are. It's like 26, 27 years ago. And it still eats me up, but not as bad. I've worked on that. So I went to the email and I forwarded the email that was of his best friend's wife. I forwarded it to his best friend's email and put his name, my ex-husband's name. I said, is dead. And I sent it off. Well, he ends up trying to get a hold of me, to talk to me, to try to bring stuff down. So I answered the phone and I talked to him. And he was apologizing, which I didn't believe a damn word he said anyway. And I said, but you don't understand. I found more than what you and your wife sent. I found, and I told him what I found. And he was like, are you serious? I said, yeah, I'm dead serious. This is what I found. And I was more screaming in anger as I was saying what I found. And So he goes and he calls my ex-husband. You need to get home. She's found things. And you need to get home. So he comes home. And his answers were like, first of all, they're not inappropriate pictures, because why would they take pictures and things like that if they're not over the age of 18? Think on that. If they're not the appropriate age. Okay. That was his first thing. Now, you know, I'm a big girl. Okay. I've always been a big girl. Always. Chubby, whatever you want to call it. And it came out that he prefers women that have no chest, no butts, basically a stick. And I asked him then, why did you marry me? He said he didn't want to be alone. That was his answer to that. He didn't want to be alone. And before this came out, we were having problems with intimacy. I was trying to fix that too. Taking ideas. I even made him, one night I made him his favorite dinner. And he came home from work, grabbed a bag of chips, and I was wearing something very enticing. I'll just say it that way. At least I thought it was enticing. And he told me to put some clothes back on. And he grabbed a bag of chips, went into the living room, and started watching TV. And left me alone in the kitchen at the dining room table with candles lit and his favorite dinner. Just sat there. And I eventually threw it away because he never ate it. I put it in the refrigerator. It sat there for 2 days and he never ate it, so I eventually threw it away. But anyway, that was my marriage story. And I view marriage as more like just a piece of paper anymore. I don't view it as, you know, and when you're young, especially like a young girl, you're told you need to get married, you need to have kids, you got to have that white picket fence, you need to be a housewife. You're told all these things. And that's what you aim for, because that's what you're told you're supposed to be doing. And that didn't happen. That didn't happen. And I wish I could say that my relationships have been normal. They're beyond normal. But I wanted to talk about my marriage and make that known. So that's my first and last marriage. That's what I went through. That's my personal story. That's why I don't care for it. I don't like it. I don't want to have it happen again. You know, things like that. However, even so, I still give out my heart. I'm still guilty of that. You know, I give out my heart. I try to look at it as they are not him. He is not them. I try to go on into things on a clean slate. But that, at that time, destroyed me, you know. I can't say that. And I've seen marriages where they're perfect, or they seem perfect, but they have problems, but they work through them. They didn't have what I had. They didn't go through what I went through. But that's like, first, last. I ain't doing that again. I mean, I know I should, never say never. I understand that. But I have no plans or intentions for marriage. Let's just say it that way. If something comes up, it comes up. But I'm not looking for that anymore. So it's like, well, what am I looking for? And that's a good question. What am I looking for? Because I keep running into these cycles. I think it's more about me healing and discovering what my issues are, which I give too many chances. That's my one flaw. My other one is I give benefit to the doubt. I try to not allow red flags, even if they're just so tiny. I try to ignore them, even if it's just the tiniest little thing. I try to ignore them when really I shouldn't. And I know there's no one that's perfect out there. I understand that. We all have our quirks. We all have our things. But it's made me more aware that if something bothers me, I need to realize that and let it go. If a red flag feels, even if it's tiny, if it feels out of balance, if I can't handle that for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road, I need to just realize this person is not meant for me. But when I am in a relationship, I'm a very committed, devoted, loyal, honest, sincere person. And that scares some people too. Because I'm like a rarity anymore when you talk about relationships. I'm a rarity. I have my blinders on. It's like there's no one else around but you. You're the only one that's there for me. You're the only one that I'm looking at. You're the only one that I see. You're the only one that I adore. The only one I go to. When I'm in a relationship. I'm not looking at others. I'm not enticed by others. It's just you. Otherwise, I wouldn't be there. And that's a rarity anymore. But that's how I am. I've always been that way. So, that's that. But I wanted to share my marriage story and give advice. But yes, look at it as a contract for life. If there's something that person does, even little tiny things that bother you, it'll continue to bother you for 5, 10, 15 years, and it will just basically build up within you to where you just explode. So, on that note, I'm going to leave. Again, this video is over 20 minutes. Sorry about that. So me and my beautiful cup of coffee, which is half gone, wish you a great day and a great week. and hopefully your relationships are the best. Take care.